Hi folks, Rodney back again. I wanted to do a quick video on some questions that have been coming up here recently, and I wanted to kind of help explain some things that maybe will kind of put you at ease, and then like I said, give you a better understanding of why you're not getting the information that you're looking for on your new Tundra, or what's the holdup on it. So I'm gonna kind of go through the questions here, not in any particular order, but like I said, hopefully it will definitely help give you a little insight. I will say that a lot of people have been taking advantage of sending me their VIN number so I can check the status on their vehicle. Turn the air off here. But you feel free to keep on doing that. Send me your VIN number. I can definitely check the status. If it is a VIN number that is a temporary VIN number, and the way that you would know if it's a temporary VIN or not is it will have a letter in the last 5 to 6 digits of the VIN. So like I said, if that's the case and your vehicle's already been built, be sure and get the updated VIN number, the permanent VIN number that is. Otherwise, the information that I try to retrieve for you won't be there if it's, like I said, already been built. So anyway, the questions that have come up here recently. So the first one is, how long does it normally take to get a vehicle built? And so the answer to that question is, it can be built in the same day. Now, all of the Tundras are built on this in the San Antonio truck plant. So it gets built that very same day, and then typically the next day it will go into processing, and in most cases will get shipped out that next day, headed towards your dealership. What is a quality control hold? So a quality control hold is an inspection that a Toyota team has to do, and it can be anything from like checking the torque on bolts on a rear end, or it can be performing a recall. But anyway, it's some sort of inspection. Now, often there is a certain number of vehicles that just have to be inspected, and it's just part of their quality control that they do. Typically it will show either 30 or 56 days, and so that means that it can take up to that period of time. A lot of that has to do with how many vehicles do they have to inspect, how big a team do they have, and that's why they're trying to give you some sort of a time frame. But then again, it doesn't take necessarily as long as what they put on the quality control hold itself. And I'll give you an example. Last week, I had a customer that's been waiting on a Sienna, and he's waited a good little while because we could actually see the allocation 45 days before the vehicle was going to be built. So we waited for the vehicle to get built, and here it is. It's supposed to be here within the next couple of weeks, and it comes down on a quality control hold once it hits the port. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy's been waiting forever. He's going to be livid. And so I saw that information on a Friday. I was going to call him on a Monday just to give him a heads up. And by Monday, the quality control hold had been lifted, and they had put 30 days on there. And so keep in mind, like I said, that's a time frame. It's not to exceed 30 days. And what happens is every Friday, they will tell you to check back in the system for an update. And I'm going to show you here in just a moment what we can actually see in the system, and maybe it will help you better understand. But anyway, that's why they say 30 or 56 days. Where the 56 comes from, I don't know. But anyway, it's either a 30 or a 56-day hold, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to take that long to get it completed. Okay, for a real brief explanation, I wanted to kind of show you what we can actually see in what we call Dealer Daily. Dealer Daily is Toyota's inventory management system. And so from the time a vehicle arrives in, it will come into what they call A status. And A status will allow us to see that, hey, this is the vehicle that we have that's going to be built and is going to be shipped to us. It will show us the features that are going to be on the vehicle. It will show us any accessories that are going to be on it, and basic configurations. So for instance, if it was a Tundra Crew Max, a hybrid limited, it would tell us all that information. This, as you can see, started back in August. And so this is a vehicle that is being shipped. Like I said, it takes a while for them to go ahead and process. So number one, they have to make sure that they have all the items together to build that vehicle. And then they send out these allocations, as I mentioned. So we're going to skip over to the build date. So it shows us the build date. So in this case, it was built on the 8th of December. It gets built the same day, and then it goes into processing later in the day, and then gets shipped out the following. It doesn't always go out the very next day, but typically it is. It's a pretty quick process. you can see that it was loaded on the rail car, and it loaded and shipped out on the 9th. And then in this case, it arrived almost a month from the time that it was shipped out. Now, a lot of that could change depending on where you're actually located. So I've heard up in Canada, it takes a little longer for shipping up there. We're in Oregon, and this was actually a customer's vehicle that they were requesting information on. So I don't honestly remember where this vehicle was at. This one may have been in Canada. But anyway, it typically takes from the time the vehicle is built to the time it arrives at the dealership for us is about 30 days. And that's what most people have told us across the U.S. Unfortunately, I don't have any additional information at this time. This was the last update that was done on it. So a lot of times, people will send me their VIN number and I'll check it for them. And so in the process, this is kind of what it shows me, and this is kind of the information I'm providing for you. You notice up here at the top, it is on a quality control hold. And so you see that the quality control hold started on the 22nd and could take up to 56 days. Now, don't get alarmed, meaning that it's definitely going to take 56 days. I've seen some that, sorry about that. I've seen some that it take as little as a week, but they want to give them a proper time frame. And a lot of that has to do with how many vehicles do they actually have to inspect, what all is included in that inspection that they're going to do, or if they're performing an actual recall before it actually leaves the port. Just so you know, any recall that's out on that vehicle will be performed before it ever gets released from the port. So I know a lot of customers have asked about that. I've had people ask me, is a 2022 model, or should say, is a 2023 model better than a 2022 model? And I would say yes, and I'm going to explain here in further detail in just a few minutes. But anyway, so the rail arrival is the last up that they see. Once it hits the rail or the port, it typically takes, anywhere from 3 to 5, sometimes even as much as 2 weeks, just depending on how backed up they are and, the processing time that they need to get it shipped to the dealership. So hopefully this helps explain a little bit, and so you guys can see, what we can actually see. People have asked me recently, is the 2023 Tundra better than the 2022? And I would say yes, and the only reason why is because a lot of the updates that need to be done to the vehicle have been taken care of before you ever receive your 2023 model. We were kind of the proving grounds on the 2022s, anybody that bought one, and had to endure some of the things that, excuse me, people who purchased a 2023 model have not. There is one thing that you can do that will actually help future customers. So anytime you have an issue with your vehicle, the phone number you want to call is 1-800-GO-TOYOTA. And that can be anything from multimedia to, in the very beginning they had turbo issues. So any type of situation you have with your vehicle, if you will take the time to call and kind of get a work order started, that will make it better for future customers, because a lot of times if they have enough people call, they'll create a work order and hopefully eliminate some of those issues that people hopefully won't have in the future. So keep that in mind if you would. I had a customer the other day, or a viewer, ask, I've been waiting for 10 months and why haven't I received my VIN number? I've been seeing everybody else that is getting VIN numbers already and I haven't seen mine. Excuse me. And so the answer to your question is that dealership hasn't received an allocation. So if they had, as soon as they receive the allocation, they will issue that vehicle a temporary VIN number, even though it hasn't been built. And as I mentioned, a temporary VIN number will have a letter in the last 5 or 6 digits of that VIN. And so that's the way you know that it's the temporary. Once the vehicle gets built, then it gets converted over to a permanent VIN number. So anyway, the only time that you wouldn't have a VIN number for a vehicle is if they have not received an allocation for that vehicle to be built yet. So I just finished up my year on this vehicle, And so a couple things that you get free. So for instance, this is a limited model and it came with the dynamic navigation. So I got a free year subscription to that. I also had a free year subscription to Remote Connect, and my year is up. So funny thing, they gave me 2 months complimentary additional service on my Remote Connect, but did not do anything as far as my dynamic navigation. So for anybody who doesn't understand what dynamic navigation is, it is a cloud-based navigation system. And so it works off of GPS, but some of the information is just stored in the system as well. And like I said, it comes from the cloud. Since my year is up, rather than going ahead and pay for that subscription, I felt it would be a great time to try out the Apple CarPlay. Now, there's many customers that will come in and purchase a vehicle, and even though they get the free year of dynamic navigation, because they're used to using Apple CarPlay in rental vehicles or what have you, they automatically want to go ahead and load that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you prefer, by all means, take advantage of it. So anyway, I switched over to Apple CarPlay. Apple CarPlay, the mapping system, because it updates in real time, actually can be better in some cases. Sometimes it's a little easier to understand. And like I said, if a person's already used to it, that may be what they want. So I've been using Apple CarPlay. The one downfall that I see, and I understand, so let me give you an example. Because I ride dirt bikes and I'm out in the woods frequently, a lot of times I don't have cell phone service. And so in those areas, because I don't have cell phone service, I won't have navigation through Apple CarPlay because I don't have any service to my phone. So sorry about that. Anyway, so that's the one downfall. Now I know people say that you can download maps if you know you're going into an area ahead of time, and that may be something that, if you are, that's great. But let's just say hypothetically you're off and you decided to take a trip somewhere, and just on the spur of a moment decide to go off the beaten path, and you get out there into an area you're not familiar with and you haven't already downloaded a map. That could create an issue. So that might be something to think about. Just so you know that once your subscription runs out, the dynamic navigation and what do they call it? Oh, I'm losing my train of thought for a second, but it's navigation assistance, or destination assist, I think is what they call it. But anyway, that is $16 a month or $160 per year if you decide you want to go ahead and resubscribe for that. The Remote Connect is $10 a month or $160 per year. So anyway, you can pay it either monthly or you can pay it on yearly. Obviously, yearly it's a little bit cheaper, but that is what it's going to cost to resubscribe to those systems. So anyway, you guys, like I said, go on ahead and continue to send me your VIN number. I'd be more than happy to check the status on it for you. If you have any other questions, let's say for instance you've just received your truck and you're having a hard time setting something up, or you just have questions about features of the vehicle, I'd be more than happy to answer those as well. So thanks again for watching. Please take the time to like and subscribe. Share this with friends, and have a great day.